Hey, what's up everybody? Fred Minnick here, and today I am going to review something that's been sitting in my office for a year. Yeah, a year. It was just kind of hidden in a corner, and we were cleaning out the office a while back, and we found it, and that's A. Smith Bowman Cask Strength Batch 2. I know Batch 3 is already released, but this is Batch 2, and this is a 10-year-old. That's 144.5 proof, uncut, unfiltered. The SRP is $100, but let's be realistic. This is one of those products that SRP just throw out the window. Some retailer is gonna jack it up. I don't agree with that. I also don't agree that it's a $100 product. It's probably something that should be, priced a little bit more realistic to the market value. But anyway, that's not my place. I can't influence that kind of decision. That's Buffalo Trace. That's how they do things. Anyway, before I get into this review, I want to share a little story with you about the former distiller of A. Smith Bowman. But I know a lot of you all don't like to see me get in my history or the cultural, bourbon things that I get into, or some of the what I consider important facts of a brand. So I will have a time code in the description. Just click on that, go straight to it. No one's going to judge you for that, and I thank you for watching. So for those of you who stuck around, I want to tell you a little story about the gentleman who used to be the master distiller for A. Smith Bowman. His name was Truman Cox, and he passed away 10 years ago this year. So he was 44 years old when he passed away. And actually, it was 10 years ago, late last year. So he's been gone for over 10 years now. But this guy was someone I actually never had the opportunity to interview. And in 2013, 2014, I had made it in this spot. I was at this point, for all things considering, I was a veteran whiskey writer. There were not a lot of whiskey writers in that time. I think Lou Bryson told me when he was my managing editor at Whiskey Advocate that there were 15 whiskey writers in the world. So that, just imagine where we are today. Everybody wants to be a whiskey writer. Everyone has a podcast. Everyone has a YouTube channel. So very different time in the world of whiskey, especially from a media perspective. And so I kind of really enjoyed going around and meeting all the master distillers. I would sit down with them. And Truman Cox was a young guy. At this point, he was 44 years old, which I'm older than that now. He was 44 years old, and he passed away. And I remember that really shook the bourbon industry at its core, because he was this jovial gentleman. I'd never met him again, but everything that I'd heard about him, he was like this really special character, bigger than life, always filled up the room, and just was this incredible knowledge base of whiskey. And he was on the forefront of bringing Virginia whiskey, to the very top of the game. Now, of course, A. Smith Bowman had trucked in distillate from Buffalo Trace and redistilled it there at that point, and he was someone that was, really getting away from that. And so Truman was this guy that I was really looking forward to sitting down and talking to about that very thing, about how the operation of A. Smith Bowman worked. And that was something that really fascinated me. And he was also someone that I think was ahead of his time, especially with barrel finishes. And in fact, my favorite product that he made, that he touched, that I'm aware of, was a port finished. I think probably, no offense to Angel's Envy, but I think probably the best port finished I've ever had in American whiskey has been A. Smith Bowman. And he was just so good with using wood, or at least the things that I tasted that he was a part of. And it was a real loss for the industry. Well, I've got a description. I got a link in the description about something I wrote shortly after his passing. That being said, I want to pour this one out for Mr. Cox, and let's give this a review. By the way, I am using this is not the Glencairn, this is the Whiskey glass. You can find it in a lot of stores. I actually picked this up in in Las Vegas when I was there for my Super Bowl event. They provided some cocktail glasses, and I was like, hey, let me try one of your whiskey glasses. So here we are. Whew, that smells so good. Boy, this is like a caramel superhighway. It smells incredible. Caramel, caramel, caramel. Like a little bit of cherry. Like a cherry cobbler. Okay. This is 144 proof. Doesn't taste anywhere near 144 proof. In fact, this feels on the tongue in terms of like alcohol strength. It feels a little closer to 110 to me. Like it's not that intense on the tongue in terms of proof, but what you do see is like a cadre of flavors. That note I was telling you about caramel, boom, it's right there. It's right there. So is that cherry note. That cherry note's blossoming. It's right there in the thick of it. And I can't get over like caramel and cherry, caramel and cherry, caramel and cherry. You know, you hear about caramel dipped apples, but I don't think I've ever heard of caramel dipped cherries. Have you? Have you ever had a caramel dipped cherry? I feel like that is what this is. Now, chocolate dipped cherries, absolutely, but never like never a caramel. Maybe there's a caramel and chocolate dipped cherry. Yeah, I think there is a caramel and chocolate dipped cherry. I think it's what do they used to call that? My grandma used to get those when I was a kid, and there's like a peanut cluster in it. I think it was just called a mash, cherry mash, maybe. A little maple on there, a little hazelnut, but it's all the notes that are coming in are really sweet. There's not a ton of spice in this, which kind of surprises me. I thought at this proof especially I would be detecting a lot more spice, but this is really like cherry pie meets a caramel factory and then goes and makes love to a piece of chocolate and maybe a peanut butter. I don't know. What was the other note? Maple. And watching in the distance is maple. One more taste. Okay, this finish is outrageous. Like from the moment I put it on my tongue to now, absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. So, wow. This is fantastic. Well, the chances of you finding an A. Smith Bowman in the wild is pretty slim to begin with. The chances of you finding batch 2 probably even more slim. So what's the purpose of the review? Well, I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but I had to taste it. And for those of you who may go hunting for it, I'm sure you can find it, but it will cost you a penny most likely. This is absolutely delicious, and I regret not tasting it last year because this definitely would have been in the top 100. But that's how it is. Like, I have to taste it within the calendar year for me to consider it. But damn, what a loss. This is so good. Finishes long and strong, and that it's just still finishing. It's still going. But I would say, interestingly, the prominent note that comes out during the finish is maple. It's not caramel. That's going to do it for this little here review. Thank you for tuning in. If you're not a subscriber yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit like, tell a friend. Come see what we're doing. And come see what we're doing over in Club Marzipan. Lots of cool stuff going on there. But be safe out there, y'all. Cheers.